This is my very first show that I'm hosting. So, this could go many different ways, but stick with us. It should be fine. So, I was going to say this is a really appropriate song for me because, you know, this was what I lived for my whole life from age zero, because I wanted all eyes on me. Literally, my mother's womb, my mom's here tonight. She said, you know, it was in her womb that I was planning to have all eyes on me all the time. So of course I had to create my own show so that would happen. But it's been a lifetime achievement, obviously. It's very hard for me because I'm from the former Soviet Union. It's really hard for someone like myself to do comedy because it's not something that we are used to in Soviet Russia. There is no comedy. There's no laughter. There's just misery. You know, we work and then we die. There's literally nothing else because that's how the communist way works, right? We're told from day one that you're here to work and you're here to die, and that's it. So for me to go to comedy shows is very hard because, you know, it's hard to make me laugh. And our standards are so high that nobody can meet them, much less exceed them. You know, so this is very different because when I told my parents that first I'm going to write a funny book about being a Soviet immigrant, a Jewish immigrant, and then I wanted to do stand-up, my dad was like, why? Why do you want to do this? Because to Soviet parents, any kind of art, any kind of comedy equates to prostitution. There's really nothing else because they don't get it. You know, in Soviet Russia, it's like you just work. The government assigns you a job, and then you die. So when I want to do something different, it's like, why? Your husband not have a job anymore? Your husband not give you money? Well, no, Dad, comedy doesn't really pay. So why you want to whore yourself out? Like, what are you going to do? Tell jokes? Why? It's something that nobody understands, you know? If you know anyone know Soviet, Russians, Ukrainians, anyone? No, in the room here. I know there's a few of you here. So you know what we're like. You know, if we're not working and philosophizing, we're just silent. You know, we don't really talk much. We don't laugh. We don't know what that's about. So for me to be doing this, it's like, you know, are you crazy? Yes, a little bit, obviously. We're all a little bit crazy. But I want to say that it's really my parents' fault that I'm up here because clearly they didn't give me enough attention. But then I remember that I've been with my husband longer than I've been with my parents, so it's his fucking fault that I'm not there. Okay, speaking of husbands. We've been married for, 28 years now. Yes. 20 of them divorced. But don't worry, just in my head. He doesn't know anything about it. But you know, there comes a point in your marriage where it's just, I've done so much work, like he's 95% trained. Any women in here understand? Like no matter when I get mad at him, it's like, well, I could start all over, but I've done all this work. So some other bitch will come in and enjoy and reap the benefits? Why would I do that, right? So instead I just get mad. And the ring comes off, you know, he pisses me off. His clothes start to disappear, and they go into like a luggage outside. Why are my clothes in the luggage? No, I don't know. Papers are being drawn out, you know, and it's all in my head because he just ignores me. And, you know, he's still looking for his 80s cut-off sweatshirt. A lot of his clothes are missing from the closet, you know. But it's interesting because we're so different, and women and men are obviously really different in general, but his tolerance for people is like up here, and my tolerance for people is like non-existent. So that's a very fun relationship because when we're out in public, he has to remind me to fix my Slavic face. He's like, babe, you look like you're about to murder someone. I'm like, I am. This kid's been picking his nose for the last 20 minutes and his fucking parents won't do anything. I'm about to go over there and tell him and kill him. And he's like, you can't do that. This is America. Whatever. You can't beat your kids anymore. But I do remember the very first time I introduced him to my grandma, my Ukrainian grandma, and I brought him to her house, and she's like, oh, what's his name? In Russian. I'm like, his name is Scott. She's like, Scott? I'm like, well, no, it's more like a Irish accent, like a Scot, Midwestern. She's like, so Scott, in Russian, everyone knows Russian. Scott is what we can't call herds of cows, livestock. So he's like, Scott? I'm not calling him that. I don't know, I just sounded Boston, but does he have a middle name? I'm like, Martin. She's like, I can't pronounce that, so whatever. And then she's like, okay, sit down and eat. In 10 minutes, she had a whole dining room table full of every Russian, Ukrainian piece of meat and fish you can think of, because all we eat is meat and potatoes. Occasional fish, and I'm like, we're about to go to lunch. This is a lot of food for 10 a.m. She's like, oh, it's not for me and you, it's for him. Because there's no better test of a man to Soviets is to see how he eats. The more you eat, the better person you are, apparently. So I'm like, well, God, there's a lot of meat. Like, I don't think he wants to eat meat at 10 in the morning. Oh, it's okay. There's salad olivia. There's some vegetables in there. Like, yeah, but he's dairy. He can't have dairy. There's no dairy. Eggs, mayo, sour cream. No dairy. Like, that's dairy. It's very little. I'm like, he's kind of trying to be vegetarian too. And he's like, well, chicken, it's fine. There's very little chicken in there. And she was like, I don't understand why he won't eat. I'm like, we're about to go eat. She's like, if a man don't eat, he's not a man. Also, he is not hairy, he's not a man. Like, the hairier you are to Russians, the better. So, for those of you that are hairy, But anyway, so first of all, thank you so much, DJ Duncan. I didn't forget you. Thank you for everyone for coming. I have a really good lineup for you. I have some really great comedians, and I really hope you enjoy them, because this is, to me, there's nothing better than comedy. Everything that's going on in the world right now, right? Like, this is what we need. And there's nothing better. So I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate you guys being here. And I hope you get some laughs. So, without further ado, we got, first person coming out is Drew Bog. Hey,